$1 Million Agent, the podcast. We're back again. Tom Panos, John McGrath, Troy Malcolm, the longest serving real estate training podcast in Australia, New Zealand.
In the world, I reckon. Let's get serious, Tommy. I reckon I can't think or I don't know of anyone in the world that's been gibbering as long as the three of us. So I'm gonna go global today. I'm gonna say
we are global.
Mate, you want to laugh at something? I heard a guy at a cafe say to me today, he's a prospective vendor. He's had 4 or 5 agents go out to see him. And he said to me, mate, all 4 came out and they told me that they had world-class best advertising. And he goes, so what do you guys do? Do you do a constant reference check with overseas to see? I go, mate, I wouldn't call it as scientific as that. He goes, it was incredible. They all said, mate, we've got world-class marketing here.
That one, Tommy always gets me. And the other one that vendors always mention is about the world-class database. We have the best database in the entire world. Every single agent says the same.
Well, someone's got to be right.
One person's got to be right. That's correct. One person's right.
So, gentlemen, it's a good time of the year. Today's a great day in Sydney, by the way. Sun's out. We can feel that spring, it's on its way. We can already see real estate agents telling us the spring listings have started to sort of come in. I'm not quite sure. Firstly, before we move on to our topic today, what's the feedback at the McGrath at a helicopter level there? Is there signs that we're going to have a bonanza spring with a listing surge? What's the early signs there, or it's too early to call?
No, look, at the moment, we're seeing an increase in volume this week. And funny enough, I just spoke to a good friend of ours, Tom, you're on me and Troy, John Hatz, VFX signboards, and he did about 90 boards last night.
Yep.
And I said, so what were you kind of doing in COVID? He said, 35, 40 a day. And I said, when do you know it's game on? He said, when I hit 100 boards a day, sort of sustainable. He said, then I know. So he's back to 90. So I reckon Johnny Hatz and VFX are a pretty good bellwether for what's happening in the market, because they're not just one brand. They cover a whole range of brands. Sydney, admittedly, but yeah, let's just say that it might well be the same elsewhere. So we are seeing an increase in volume. We're not seeing any huge spike, but we're seeing a gradual increase in volume. We're continuing to see good sales happen, especially for homes that have got a little bit of a unique factor or high quality, great locations. Troy, you did one on the weekend. I think it was sort of over 5 million sales. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Sam Lloyd from our Lane Cove office, John. And that vendor only purchased the property at the start of COVID and saw a great return. Some 2025
for the beginning of COVID.
I think it was early 4s and ended up selling 6.3 plus 6.3.
Yeah, well, I mean, there you go. That's a good reason to stay indoors, isn't it? COVID, $2 million in your pocket. Terrific. So I think that we're going to see, Tommy, here's my view for what it's worth, and everyone will probably tune out now, but here's what I reckon. I reckon that we're 80 to 90% in terms of price reductions down in the big capital cities. I think there might be a little trickle to go, but I think we've seen by far the worst of the corrections. And that to me is sort of 10 to 15% correction from peak to now. And I think we might have a few more percent, 3 to 5% to go. So I think that's okay. I think that we're going to see interest rates go up to around 5%. I think the Reserve Bank is talking tough to scare everyone, because they'd actually rather people stop spending before they get to the 5.5% if they get that far. So I do think that we're hearing tough words because they just want everyone to kind of stop spending for the moment to reduce inflation. I think that as prices stabilize, people will start to come back on the market. We'll see a more normalized volume of sales, and that will be either this spring or following Christmas, straight after Christmas, one of the two. I think that the best properties are continuing to fetch really, really good prices. I was watching the news last night, which I don't do very often, Troy, as you know, but there was something in Melbourne sold for $80 million, a derelict house, mansion, I assume probably Toorak, or in one of those beautiful eastern suburbs of Melbourne, and that was 80 million. Even, Troy's done a $5-6 million sale on the weekend at auction. there's plenty of good news out there. I think probably where the soft underbelly, Tommy, is, as you would know, being a prolific auctioneer around Sydney, it's probably stuff that's a bit undifferentiated, sort of investment stock, units to a large degree, or houses that have got some flaws, could be busy streets and so forth. I think that stuff's really doing it tough. But I think if you take to market a property right now that's got a bit of X factor about it, you know, you're getting a very, very strong response out there. That'd be my view. And time-wise, I think we're about halfway through. I think we've got another 12 months to go. So maybe we're not quite halfway through, but close, because, you know, let's say the market turned to either side of Christmas. And I reckon that we might have another 9 to 12 months to go. At which point it'll stabilize. There's actually really, and Tommy, I know you're big on social media. There's a guy called Scott Durkin. He's the CEO of Troy Douglas Elliman in the States.
Yep, Douglas Elliman.
Used to be Corcoran's, lovely guy, good friend of our business. When he was at Corcoran's, he was very generous with his knowledge. Anyway, he put out a really, he was speaking at Inman conference, and he was on a panel, and they were asking him, and he's like us three, you know, he's been through cycle and cycle and cycle. And go to his Instagram, Scott Durkin, Douglas Elliman on the Instagram, have a look at it. But he basically said, you know, we've been through this before. And he said everyone kind of, you know, gets, they crawl into a cave in the middle of it. They think it's never going to end. And of course it ends, and it usually ends a bit faster than you think. And it starts a bit faster than you probably think as well. And he said that's just the market. But he said really, he's seen the cycles of the bad cycles or negative cycles, the correction phase, have compressed over the, and actually, as I thought when I heard him say that, I thought, yeah, I think that's probably, I have no science to back it up, but it feels right that the down cycles, you know, the roller coaster heading down, not up, seem to have become a little bit tighter and shorter over the last few cycles than perhaps they once were. So, you know, I'm not rose-colored glasses necessarily, but I think that, you know, it's a great market to sell. It's a great market to buy. Just get on and do it and forget talking about the market, because it's almost over, really.
Well said. And I'm going to go follow that guy, because you said something very profound, and that is, when it happens sooner than what we think it's happened. And that's both with the correction, and also it's both with when the market turns. I keep telling, you know, I have a lot of friends that keep saying to me, Tom, look at this article in the Fin Review, prices are going to drop 20%. I said, well, they've already dropped 15. So what are they saying? It's going to drop another 5, you know? Our Commonwealth Bank says they're going to drop, the total drop from top to bottom is going to be 25%. I said, yeah, that could be right, but it's already dropped 15. So that's another 10% over the next 12 months. But let's move into something useful and practical for our listeners today. And that is, I've been doing a heap of one-on-ones on Zooms, and I said to both gentlemen off camera, it's really interesting that there's a bunch of stuff that keeps coming up from the same people that don't know each other, yet they're obviously the same pain points. They're the things that are on people's mind. They're the things that keep them up at night. And I'm just going to run through some of those, and maybe if we could just pick 2 or 3 of them and look at some views from both Troy and John on what you think. So just to give you the list, the exhaustive list, time management and delegation, that keeps coming up. Working in your effective business unit, like, you know, working with your team members. Have I got role descriptions for them? Are things happening efficiently enough? The third one is this, you know, there's this guilt feeling from a lot of agents. I don't have time to make those calls to my past clients, to my influencers. So I don't have time to reach out to people. Another one that came up, very surprising, at least 60% of people had weight management and health and fitness. It matters to people. It's obviously a big thing to them, you know. And as one guy just got off from Bailey's, he said to me, Tom, I only go to the gym so I can list and sell more real estate. It's a mental thing for me. I'm not trying to get big or trying to get ripped. I just want to actually think clearer and sleep better for my life. And probably the last one is, you know, some agents are struggling with the negativity. They'll have a vendor, and they may have overpriced it. They may have gone in more optimistic. They can't sell it. and the vendor turns around and has negative energy towards the agent and sort of says to agents, well, if you don't sell it, there's other agents that are telling me that they've got buyers. So it's just managing the expectations of vendors. So maybe we pick, you know, a couple of those, the time management, the managing expectations of vendors. And have a chat
Troy
about
can do
it.
the health one. Troy's
Yeah,
healthier
Troy.
than I put together, Tommy, times 10.
Absolutely.
But,
Troy,
now,
you,
by the way, I've just sent you two guys the Scott Durkin Instagram thing. You'll find it's only 30 seconds or so. Find interesting. Sorry, Tom.
Troy, are you still not drinking coffee?
No, I'm back. I'm back drinking coffee. I
Thank
hit
God.
the target.
God.
Really? I
John,
heard.
John experienced me not drinking coffee.
The mood swings that we have to put up with.
Right, yeah.
That's not fair.
Mate, I've had a few McGrath people say, mate, just
Listen,
can you speak
Tom,
to Troy? Can you slip in a few caffeine tablets into these coffees, mate, please?
Tom, out of everyone, you will know that there's the other gentleman on this call will pester us at any time after 5 a.m. And listen, if you haven't had a coffee in the morning, sometimes those calls can be more trouble.
Okay, down to business. So I'm going to start with a few and give you a few things. And then Troy, you join in. Obviously, Tommy, anything you want to add? Don't have time to make calls. Absolute bullshit. Everyone's got. If you are committed to making 5 past client nurture calls a day, most of those will last less than 5 minutes, probably 3. They're valuable. In fact, they're invaluable. They're priceless. The best source of business is from past clients that you stay connected with. So really what they're saying is, Tom, I'm lazy, I'm disorganized, I can't be bothered allocating a little bit of time each day, call it half an hour to calling past clients. And so I'm just going to sabotage my future success. That's reality. That is a reality, because it is such a critical task, activity, if you will, calling past clients, and yet agents refuse to. Then they want to tell you how bad the market is. I'm saying, well, dude, a couple of things. How many hours prospecting you've been doing for the last 3 months? The answer is probably not many. That's why you haven't got any listings. When was the last time you rang a past client? I bumped into one in the supermarket. Now, that doesn't count. I'm talking about making a call to say, hey, Tom, just wanted to see how things are. You can't believe it. 2 years since we sold you that beautiful home in Haberfield. I just wanted to see how you and the family were. You've got through COVID. How's your business going? You know that I'm here. If you need anything in 2022, 2023, I'm here for you guys. If you ever want to have just a sense of what the market's doing or where your property's at, or if you're looking to buy an investment for the kids or whatever, Tom, please call me. Just something that's heartfelt, short, that reminds them that you're there in their corner is all you need. So I'm gonna call that one, Troy, total bullshit.
John, the easiest hack on that, and what we've seen so many of our successful agents do, both within McGrath but also outside, is they print out on a monthly basis all their past clients that have the anniversary coming up in that month. They have it on an A4 piece of paper, they put it in the car, and as they're driving to and from appointments, if they get a couple of minutes either side of the appointment, they're picking out someone on that list and they're making that call. You'll knock over 5, 10, 15 of those.
Wayne Harker, Troy, you remember, he was the one that, I remember Dr. Fred told us years ago, Tommy, when we started working with him, and he said, this is the greatest source of business and people are just abusing it and ignoring it. And Wayne did exactly that. He printed all his clients out, he bound them up, he threw them on the passenger seat. And every time he had a chance, stopped at the lights, wasn't making a business call, just bring the next one down and just say hi. And Wayne was an outstanding agent. I think he's still in the business. I mean, I guess he's probably at the sort of twilight of his career. He's probably saying the same thing about us, Tom, you and me.
Yeah,
But,
no, he's a nice guy. He's working up in Double Bay, and I think his son-in-law, his son, is it son or son-in-law? Son-in-law, Paul Lee Harker, right? Is that right, Paul? Yeah.
It's not Lee Harker, but it's Paul, yeah.
Paul. Okay, Paul Langston, that's it. Anyway, while we're talking about that, I had a guy drop me off to the airport in Brisbane when I was there the other week. It was so good. He had this desk in his car. It was just the most fascinating thing. So he's pulled it out, then he goes, I want to show you something. And what it does is it sort of slips onto the steering wheel, right? Sits on there. And then he goes, I find it really useful. He goes, I just go park my car. I do my calls by looking at the river. It's my iPad sits on there. And he goes, sometimes I'll even have lunch on the car. He goes, beats going back into the office. And
I love it.
yeah. Anyway, so let's keep going. So John's calling bullshit. Calling bullshit on that.
Bullshit on that one. I'm not going to even expand on it because just do it. That's a just do it Nike one there, Troy. Number 2, time management delegation. Couple of things. My experience is this. The best form of time management initially is saying no to things that are non-essential. I think too many people say yes to things now. I'm all for saying yes to things that you're passionate about and you love, or someone you want to help. And we all do that. The 3 of us, I would hope to think that, we've been very generous with our time. But there are lots of things people say yes to that they actually don't want to do, are adding no value. Maybe there's no even appreciation at the other end of it. So firstly is just do the things that are mission critical to your life. The big rocks, as Dr. Fred calls them. Delegation for me, Tom, and I've experienced this for many years because I think I'm in the perfectionist category, which is not healthy at some point. Often people, they have trouble delegating. And I say, why do you have trouble delegating? Oh, because I know I can do a better job. And I say, well, is that relevant? Because as long as they do a good enough job, delegating frees you up to work on some other more dollar productive activities and then produce and leverage on your activities and produce some more great results. So I get the delegation thing. I'm in the band of people that kind of often, unfortunately, think they can do things better than often the people they delegate to, not in an arrogant way, but maybe you've developed certain competency. But I also know that, you've got to be working on the dollar productive activities. And we often talk, Troy, in our training and coaching that you and I do at McGrath about, you don't expect the world's best brain surgeon to be booking in the patient and then, parking their car and then, putting them under anesthetic and cleaning the utensils. They're there to do the things that are mission critical in their profession, which is the surgery. And then they have a team around them to carry out all the other important activities, but not important for them to do. And I think you've just got to keep thinking like that, and you've got to have a preparedness to let go and recognize people will make mistakes. People probably won't do it quite as brilliantly as you might be able to, and that's okay. And just live with that and grow your business, because some agents in our country now, and you coach a lot of them, Tommy, they're doing 20, 30, 40 sales a month, not a year, by the way. And you'll never get to that sort of activity. You'll never even get to 10 a month, to be quite honest, which is still a very healthy volume, unless you are prepared to build a team around you. And you'll never build a team around you unless you're prepared to delegate.
Yep.
One of the most profound things that happened in the last week with these calls I've been having is I said to an agent about delegation, it was an eye-opener for both of us. I said to him, you're telling me that you know that you should delegate better. You're telling me you agree with the concept the pilot doesn't serve drinks on the plane. You're telling me that you're under the pump. Yet for some reason, there's something that's gluing you. There's some payback that you're getting by not letting go of the current admin stuff that you keep telling me. And listen to what the answer was. He says, I know what it is, Tom. I said, what is it? He goes, deep down, I prefer doing stuff there and then in the moment that I feel like I'm winning than making phone calls that won't lead to anything in the short term and I'm not going to enjoy as much. So that was
I'll give you another slight version on that, Tony. That's a brilliant insight. The other thing, Troy, that we know people do is they do some of those activities because they procrastinate the dollar productive activities that can bring rejection with them. Yeah. And so if I'm shuffling paper and I'm going down and I'm kind of tweaking the last 3% of this logo that I'm trying to design or whatever, I'm not on the phone ringing clients saying, do you want to accept that offer? Do you want to do the deal? Do you want to list with me? So, I think it's, that's a really good point. So say no more often, be comfortable with the fact that other people may not do it as well as you. Just get into that habit of it and also unearth what perhaps you might be not doing by doing the perfectionist type stuff. We've got time for one more. We got 3 minutes, Tommy. Which one do you want to do, Troy?
Well, health and fitness, I can knock that over really quickly. Really simple for everyone. Health and fitness is all about activity. So calories in, calories out. What activities are you doing to get the calories out? And what are you eating coming in? Everyone, you should download this app, MyFitnessPal. It's a calorie counter app. It's very, very easy to use. If you're really focused about weight management, out of all of them that I've tried, it is the easiest. It's free. You can pay a premium account. You don't need to, and it tracks your calories. Very simple formula.
How many calories, Troy? How many calories do you have a day?
Me personally, so I'm
Yeah.
coming up to a shred, so I'm back down to about 1,700 calories, but my average calorie intake is about 2,400 per day.
Okay, Troy, what about me? Tell me straight. Am I overweight? What do I have to? Troy, sorry, mate. What? Just give me the answer. How many calories do I? Forget about the shredding, right?
give it to me
Don't care
straight.
about the shredding.
For someone that does, like you do the bay run, Tom. So for someone that's around that, you want to be sitting around 24, 25. If you're bulking, if you want to get massive, like a Matt Steinway kind of fitness, like building muscle, you can pump it up to about 4,000 calories. But I'm not going to get into it because it actually is probably a longer answer. But if you know your calories in and out and your resting calorie rate, calories out will always create a loss.
Any other tips? Let's assume I don't want to be Steinway and I don't want to be as shredded as you. I just want to be healthy. I want to be able to
30 minutes a day, Tom, out walking, 12,500 steps. Forget the 10,000. That's just keeping your body awake. 12,500 steps. Just get out, be active, listen to a podcast. You don't have to do anything crazy. That's going to keep you healthy.
But you don't do 12,500 in 30 minutes. That's an hour and a half, isn't it?
No, but throughout the day, you could knock over 12,500 steps. Take the dogs for a walk.
I think 10,000 is about an hour, isn't it? Roughly.
10,000 is roughly an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And Troisy, is there food? What's more important, exercise or food? If you had to pick between one of the two.
No, you got to make sure you're eating the right foods. You got to know the foods that are bad for you. You can't go and exercise and eat crap. It has to be balanced. So healthy greens, veggies.
All righty, team. Troy Malcolm is now officially our nutritionist, personal trainer here on $1 Million Agent Podcast.
Tommy, what about he gives the rap for his own app? He's probably making a fortune on the side.
What's the app? It's
My Fitness.
We'll dig deeper into that one.
It's not my app. I wish it was my app.
Troy, we're going to get the team. We'll get Susan to look at there. Who's the owner of the app for a start? We want to find out who is the owner of their app. Guys, girls, brothers, sisters, thank you so much. Have a great week. We will see you next week.
See you next
Bye,
time.
guys.
Bye.